Since we are very pressed on time, and this is a topic which I feel is like it can go on and on and on for, I don't know, maybe 100 sessions. But I feel it's like there's a quote, Gagar mein Sagar. There's a phrase, Gagar mein Sagar. So it's not practically possible to fill the entire ocean in a pot. But we are doing this humble effort today within the short span of time that we have. And we hope that all those who are attending this session will get value out of it. That is what we are really looking at. So this session is about Himalayan meditation. The name itself suggests Himalayan means it is something which is a place which we all feel like going. Many of us must have visited, but there is always a sense of peace that comes within us the moment we think of the Himalayas. So Himalayan meditation itself, the name itself has the element of peace in it. And then today's session is named The Power of Inner Wisdom. So I would like to start today's session with a very powerful quote that our guru, who is the pioneer of Himalayan meditation worldwide, he quotes that new tools are discovered daily through science. But spirituality is necessary to ensure these tools are put to good use in society. So I would like you to ponder on this quote a little while so that you understand that science and spirituality exist together. They're two sides of the same coin. So although there may be new discoveries coming up every day, but we need the spirit within to guide us to put it to good use. Which brings us to the fact that throughout our life, every day, we're always navigating clouded decisions. I feel by far, whether it is students or teachers, or for that matter, any person across the world, one of the main things that we are always delving with is making powerful decisions. And when we see that, whether it is teachers or students, we are all in pursuit of success. So our Gurudev says that success, what do you define success as? So if I mean, success could be different things to different people, but if we could just sum it up in one sentence, then success is making the right decisions at the right time. So this session is probably a precursor to understand how can we reach upon the right decisions and the right time. So throughout our life, we are navigating through clouded decisions. In today's world, there are a lot of things which keeps clouding this decision-making power. And this clouding happens because of external factors. And meditation per se is the key to go inward, because we realize that there is much, much beyond conscious knowledge. And that is what we are going to learn to tap into. So, but then why do we have to go towards something which is beyond conscious knowledge? Aren't we all okay with whatever knowledge we already have? So there's a very powerful thing that I've learned from Einstein. So if I could ask you, like all those who are there in this session, to imagine that if all the knowledge in the world, if you could sum it up, if you could hold it in your palm, okay, all the knowledge in the world, just imagine everything that is there in this world, if you could sum it up in the palm of your hand, how much of it would you be knowing out of that vast expanse of knowledge? So even if we say that I know 1%, I feel that is also a big thing. It's practically impossible to measure how much knowledge we know out of the entire knowledge that is there in the world. So if I say 1% of knowledge is what I have, that I am aware of, then there is a whole 99% of knowledge which is there lying out there, which I'm absolutely unaware of. मुझे पता भी नहीं है कि ऐसा कुछ exist करता है. There is something there out there which I'm not aware of. And this knowledge, this is the living knowledge which determines how we make powerful decisions. We are going to look into that in detail later. So, we start this program, we start this session on the note that we are going to put aside all the conscious knowledge that we have right now, all that we know already about the topic called meditation. We are going to put it aside. We are going to put all that conscious knowledge aside. And that is when we become open to something which is new. Which brings us to the fact about the first quote that I came up with, that there are many discoveries which are coming across in science, and it is spirituality which helps us to make the right decisions. So I want you to think about what is spirituality or what is being spiritual. You may keep putting whatever ideas you have about this in the chat box if you feel like. I really want you to think about what is spirituality? What is being spiritual? What do you think spirituality is? Can anybody just quickly give just maybe a couple of answers to bring in a little bit of interactivity in the session? I know it cannot be a very interactive session considering the time, but still, what do you think spirituality is, or what do you think being spiritual is? Because that is the crux of meditation. So any answers, any random answers, anything is fine.
Hello.
What is spirituality?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Revati Nitesh. My spirituality, according to myself, is finding yourself in this world full of chaos, pain, and sorrow. It is finding your purpose in life and sticking to it.
Wow. That is such a profound answer. Very nice. I'm so happy that we are already on the same page. Thank you so much, Revati ji, for that beautiful answer. Anybody else who would like to add something? What do you think is spirituality?
We have some answers in chat box, Veena. So
Okay.
knowing the strength within, going deep within yourself, and
Okay.
somebody says that what Revati said is true and correct. So
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. I can see a very receptive crowd here, which is such a beautiful thing. Um, so, so adding on to whatever you have already shared, so spirituality is transcending individual needs. Like throughout our lives, we are catering to a lot of our individual needs, physiological needs. Those of you who are aware of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know that we usually go from physiological needs to safety needs to esteem needs, love and belonging, and then to self-actualization. But here we are talking about the journey which is the opposite way. The journey that comes from self-actualization in a way that all the other needs get catered to on their own. That is what we are going to look at in these series of sessions. That the usual way of it is that we step up the ladder, we go from physiological needs to self-actualization. But how about considering that we actually go to self-actualization and then all the other needs get taken care of automatically? That's what we are going to look at in this series. Seeking inner happiness happiness is definitely something that we are all, each one of us, is seeking. And through this meditation series, we are going to learn how happiness is not something that we have to seek. It is already there, and we are just going to uncover it. We are going to remove all those things which are covering it up, and it's already there inside, and we are going to be just aware of that. Connecting to universal consciousness. This is by far probably the biggest thing that meditation is going to give us, because essentially we are going to understand how what universal consciousness is, how we are a part of universal consciousness, and how being one with universal consciousness brings that ease and grace into our life, which we all are yearning for. Which brings us to this very powerful quote which I came across: seek within, because not all answers are found on Google. Like we all know that our children, our students, they're constantly searching for answers on Google. I think right now I need to recode this as not all answers are found on ChatGPT or maybe AI. I guess that is a little tweaking of this quote is necessary now. So being spiritual is all about soul connection, understanding your inner self, which has nothing to do with your outer religion. So, this is something which needs to be underlined, that no matter which religion or with all the external factors which are there, which are related to your physiological being, your physical being, has nothing to do with you being spiritual. And last but not the least, connecting to a greater purpose, as Revati ji rightly said, a purpose which is beyond yourself. That is what being spiritual is. This brings us to a very profound question: who am I? So I want you to think for a few seconds, ask yourself, who am I? And I want you to ask this question to yourself. Maybe just close your eyes, be with yourself, and ask yourself this question in the language which you think in. So it could be your mother tongue, or it could be a language which you're comfortable with. Ask yourself this question: who am I? And if any of your answers correlate to factors which can change, which are external, then that is not who you are. So you need to keep looking at, who am I? Am I this physical body? Am I the gender that I am? And if so, then what was I before I realized that I am a body, or I am a woman or a man? Who was I before that? I want you to close your eyes and keep asking this question to yourself: who am I? मैं कौन हूं? By far the most poignant question of all, which probably every sage, every spiritual leader, every person who has anything to do with spirituality needs to delve in. And that is, who am I? So, any answers? Quick answers? Any answers? Who am I?
Please use question and answer box for typing in your responses.
Kathy ji, is it possible to quickly tell me some answers, common answers?
Yes, yes. Revati says, I have no idea. Each time I get different answers. Somebody says, I am the soul. Somebody says, not the body and not the mind. Still searching for the answer. And I am part of the universal force. These are the few answers which we have got. I am a good person. I think people are still typing in.
Yeah. This is definitely a question that you need to keep pondering on. And if you realize that when you ask this question to yourself, you close your eyes and ask this question to yourself. I want you to think about, I want you to go into the response it is creating in your physical body when you ask this question to yourself. So some things may be happening in your mind. I want you to go deeper. So a good person. So before you became a person, what were you? Before you labeled yourself as somebody who is good, who were you? Somebody said, I am a soul. So even a soul is a definition, a label that we have attached. Which brings me to the point that every time we need to define things, we need to label things to make meaning out of it. When we are in meditation, we are in a state where we do not make meaning out of anything. We do not attach anything to anything. So even after this session, whenever you get time, till we meet in the next session, I want you to keep indulging in this question and keep looking at what are the different meanings that come to you. Somebody said that I am a soul, which by far is the closest answer to this question, although not the perfect one. Because I feel there is something even more deeper than the soul. Even the soul is a definition. So why do we have to connect? Why do we have to connect to our inner self, to our soul? What is the need? Why are we looking at? Why are we even attending this session? Because I'm sure that you have chosen to attend this session. So there is definitely something in there that you see for yourself in this session. So what is the need to connect to your soul? Why do we need to connect to our soul? Any answers? This is a completely experiential program. You see, if I can go on speaking it without any interaction or without any answers, it's not going fully, which is why I realize although it's a webinar, we still need to have a little bit of interactivity, because probably through an answer given by someone, we might get some insight. It's all about receiving insights. So why do we need to connect to our soul? Is what we need to come to. Any quick answers? Why do we need to connect to our soul? Why do we need to connect to our inner self through meditation?
We have some answers here because we all are connected. Soul is permanent and can take another form later with a different body. So continuity is required. In order to fulfill our soul purpose, I, in inverted commas, does it even exist is always my question. We need to understand why are we like this. These are some responses which we have got.
Yes. Perfect. Beautiful. So basically, in this session, in these series of sessions, we are going to understand how through meditation we connect within. When we connect within, all those external factors which keep on influencing us, we gradually start putting everything on the table. Like, you want to sort out a basket. So you need to first empty the basket on a table, and then probably you will start sorting it out. And once you sort out the things, then you have more clarity on what are the things that you want to keep and what are the things that you want to throw away. So in meditation, the first and foremost thing is about be entering into a calm state, bringing in clarity, the reduction of thoughts, because the thoughts are essentially the things which are all filled up inside, which are influential factors, strengthening our chitta. Now, this is an important aspect that we are going to delve into in the series, in the following series. This is going to be more of an overview for you about what we are going to deal with in the future series. So, strengthening of chitta or your awareness, because your awareness clearly is the most important factor that molds who you are, where your attention is, what you are doing, and where is all the energy coming in from. And then living in the present moment, because largely in our lives, we keep on oscillating between the past and the future. Majorly, if we put our thoughts on a table, they will be divided into two parts: thoughts of the past or thoughts of the future. Most of the times, thoughts of the past are those which lead to regret. Oh, I should have taken this decision in a different manner. Of course, we do have happy thoughts. But come on, tell me, how many of you always indulge in the good part? Even if we have a huge blackboard and I put a dot on it, our attention is always going to go to that dot. What I guess we call the broken tile syndrome, that there's a nice swimming pool with beautiful tiles put up, but if there's a small crack in one of the tiles, our attention is always going to go to that broken tile. Especially as teachers, I'm also a teacher. So I know we are attuned to look at all the flaws, which is why most of our thoughts are either about past regrets or anxiety about the future, which is why we are not able to gain power from the present moment. So meditation is going to help us be in the present and garner all the strength, take all the strength from power from the present moment, which helps us to create inner balance. Just some benefits. By being in the present, we get mental clarity, emotional stability, and inner peace. When this happens, when we have mental and emotional balance, it improves our intrapersonal and interpersonal skills, the way we interact with ourselves, as well as the way we interact with others. And this helps to create a peaceful and harmonious relationship in society. And the larger goal of meditation is to create good societal relationships, feeling of connectedness beyond all external barriers, and creating, realizing the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We're going to engage in all these conversations in our future series, which is where I want you to come to we are going to do this small exercise here. This is about the doing, having, and being cycle. So being a soul, essentially, if we want to go into the experience of being a soul, we need to first look at who we are being right now. Are we really relating to ourselves as a soul? Or we are just saying it physically? Like, I am a soul, who I am is a soul. But am I really relating to myself as a soul? For that, we need to do this short exercise. I want you to take up one aspect of your life which you want to change, which you want to transform, something probably which is not working for you right now, and you want to create a shift in that area. And I want you to look at what are the things that you are doing, what are the actions you are taking in that area. Just take a look at it. And it's perfectly all right if you're not able to figure this out right now. But maybe after this session, you can sit with it and you can work around this exercise. So please understand it. So there are a set of actions that you do on a physical level. For example, maybe weight loss. Okay. I want to lose weight. And the actions that I'm taking in that direction is I am creating an exercise regimen, food, diet, everything. But I'm not getting results because probably I'm not following the actions properly. What are the set of feelings that I'm getting out of that? So there is a set of doing that is done, actions that is done, and these actions are leading to the mental level, certain feelings and certain emotions. So the inner feeling that I'm I'm being left with because of these set of actions that I'm not taking is regret, or the feeling maybe of not being good enough. And because consistently I keep indulging in these feelings, what happens is there is a certain way of being that I am being at the core of myself. Probably I am being hopeless or I am being helpless. There's a certain way of being that is being created within. So all these way of beings can be categorized into two ways. Either it is a physical way of being or it is a soul level way of being. If it is a soul way of being, then it leaves you powerful, it leaves you joyful, it leaves you happy, it leaves you motivated. And if it is on a physical level, probably it doesn't work that way. So I want you to work on this, that if this is the area that you're working on and where you're not getting results, which is not getting transformed for you, then you need to look at what is the core way of being you are being inside. You need to write I am, and what is it that you're feeling? What is it that you're being in that area? And this is what we call as bhava in the context of meditation. So there is a Sharira Bhava and there is an Atma Bhava. Now, I want you to imagine that whatever way of being you are, imagine that you are just a pure and holy soul within. That all those feelings, all those way of beings externally, just gather them and put it aside and imagine that you are a pure and holy soul. Imagine that you are absolutely pure, you're absolutely holy, just the way you were when you were born. That small baby who didn't even know what his or her gender was, who didn't have any name, who didn't have any religion, who didn't have any post, who didn't have any status quo to adhere to. I want you to imagine you being that powerful self. That powerful self which was only eager to learn more and more, which could not be pulled back by anything in this world. That pure and holy soul is your true way of being. And that is what we are going to reach through this meditation series. Always being in that pure and holy form. Which brings us to the fact that our inner state is what reflects outside. Our life reflects our inner state. While external circumstances are hard to change, we can transform our inner self through Dhyan Yoga. Here we choose to call meditation as Dhyan Yoga. We are going to look at that also in the series which follows, that why do we call it as Dhyan Yoga, essentially. In the further slides, we are going to look at the definition of Dhyan Yoga. Here, I'd like to quote a very powerful quote from the Yajurveda, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, Yatha Brahmande Tatha Pinde. Our inner and outer worlds mirror each other. Do you believe in this? Do you believe that your inner world and your outer world mirror each other? What is inside is what is outside. We just now saw how our actions lead to feelings and how our feelings lead to a core way of being. And it is our core way of being which keeps driving our actions. As long as the core way of being is not transformed, no matter how many actions we take on external level, we are not going to end up with a lot of change. Which is why we need to always keep looking at what is that core way of being which is there, what are our core values within, which is operating all our external world. So that is what we are going to look at through this meditation series. We are also going to look at how through regular meditation, we can have a more self-regulated lifestyle. So what exactly happens in meditation is that in the first stage, there's a lot of self-reflection that happens. So immediately, how many of you have actually meditated so far? Can you just quickly, how many of you have meditated? Just maybe you could just raise your hands or a rough number. How many of you have meditated so far? And how many of you, when you have meditated, you have got a lot of thoughts? And how many of you have quit meditation because you're getting a lot of thoughts? And how many of you think that thoughtlessness is meditation? I'm leaving you with these multiple questions because I realize that questions lead to questions, and it is in this process that we get our answers. So in this series, we are going to look at how thoughtlessness is not meditation. That the very fact we are meditating itself, thoughts are a byproduct of it, because the moment you start to meditate, the first thing that happens is you start getting a lot of thoughts. All that you have suppressed within starts coming out. It's just like you want to clean a pond which has a lot of murky water inside it. And the moment you start stirring the pond to clean it, all the dirt, all the muck that is there at the bottom of the pond is going to start surfacing. So the first step that happens in meditation is self-reflection, where a lot of thoughts start appearing. You start getting aware that a lot of thoughts are coming. And in this series, we are going to look at how slowly, we are going to just keep observing our thoughts very neutrally. And once we start observing our thoughts, we also start seeing the various patterns which are there in those thoughts, which is termed metacognition, thinking about our thinking, which again leads to a state of self-awareness, where you become aware of what all is happening within you. And once you start becoming aware of all that is happening within you, slowly, you get the choice, you get the power to choose whether you want to go ahead with this pattern or not. And that essentially is self-regulation. So even whether it is for children, whether it is for students, teachers, or anybody, the control of your life being in your own hands, that self-regulation is one of the most powerful benefits of Dhyan Yoga. And the broader benefits that we are looking at is true enlightenment and global peace. A lot of us might have heard of the term global peace. world peace. In Himalayan meditation, we look at world peace as peace in your own inner world. So just imagine if each person in this world is completely in control of their inner world, of their own individual world, then world peace can happen automatically, isn't it? So the broader vision of world peace, we believe, comes from inner peace. I'd like to quickly share about Himalayan meditation now. So the word Himalayan, the moment we talk about the Himalayas, it is the region of the enlightened souls. It is the region where all the gurus exist. It is a spiritual research laboratory. We call it a spiritual research laboratory because there are so many different techniques of meditation all over the world. Where do all these things come from? They all come from one spiritual laboratory. Maybe the people who are presenting them across the world, they may differ. But the essence is the same. We come to the point of meditation. What exactly is meditation? Meditation is living in the present moment. Meditation might be considered as thoughtless state, but it is actually the beginning point of it. Meditation is a state of complete awareness where none of the external factors influence you. Then we come to the word Dhyan Yoga. Yoga essentially means connecting, the union, and here we call the union of the body and the soul is Dhyan Yoga, where there is no separate existence, where the inner consciousness and the universal consciousness are completely aligned to each other, and you get guidance from within. What would you get out of practicing Himalayan meditation? First of all, the unique factor about Himalayan meditation is that it happens from the crown chakra, the Sahasrara chakra, which is the topmost chakra. We always look at, just a little while ago, we looked at how if we can look at the topmost in the hierarchy, self-actualization. So same way in Himalayan meditation, we look at meditation from the crown chakra. It is a universal meditation technique, which means there are no discriminations, there are no kind of barriers. Anybody across the world can practice it. There is no religion associated with it. It is a very secular kind of meditation. We have our reach across 72 countries worldwide. We believe strongly in one world. The whole world is one family. And the most important thing is that Himalayan meditation is practiced and taught free of cost all over the world. Whichever centers we have across the world, everywhere, all our programs are free of cost. We don't charge anybody for it. Because we feel that just like the sunlight, just like air, which is available freely to everyone, this spiritual knowledge is also free of cost, freely available to everyone. It's an extremely simple practice. You do not have to indulge in any kind of rituals, any exercises, no pranayam, no nothing at all. Extremely simple. We are going to practice it now. We are going to have a short meditation demonstration immediately after this, and you will understand how simple it is and yet how profound. There are no rules. You don't have to give up on any of your lifestyle. You don't have to make any lifestyle changes. All you need to do is just add half an hour of this meditation to your lifestyle. Just half an hour of time to yourself where you be in that pure and holy state. And it's extremely woman friendly. In all our organizations, we have equal status for women. Women can practice this throughout the year. There are no physical level hindrances to it, because essentially Himalayan meditation happens on the soul level, which is why no physical aspects or no physical barriers come in the way. Our meditation is extremely scientifically oriented. We have our own panel of researchers who constantly keep doing a lot of research work. We've been catering to different sectors in society, like students, teachers, doctors, defense forces. So everywhere in every sector, there are a lot of focused meditation sessions which happen. And we have our panel of researchers who keep doing. Our researches have been published in a lot of international journals. I've just posted few of them. You can see how aura experiments have been done, water experiments have been done. A quick run through of the immediate benefits of regular meditation. So purification of your energy centers, meridians, chakras, nadis. This is something that we are going to see in the next session, which will follow probably after a week, whenever we can have it. The cleansing of the aura, how that can be done. Improved physical health, improved mental health and peace, improved relationships with family, friends, and society, and solutions to, like, one solution, one-stop shop to all your worldly sufferings. Just a 30-minute session of meditation. These are some, just bare 3 certificates that we have received very recently. We have had experiments done by the Red Cross Society on actually how meditation has impacted. There was an 8-day meditation camp which was organized, and the diabetes and blood pressure of people participating in those 8-day sessions was measured, and a remarkable shift was seen, which is why the Red Cross Society has given us this appreciation letter. You can see a appreciation letter from the United Nations headquarters. Very recently, just in the month of June, we had a session conducted by our Gurudev at the United Nations. He was invited there to conduct a session. You can also see a certificate of appreciation from our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. These are just few of them. We have a lot of certificates and awards and acclaim in our kitty. I would quickly want to take you through this meditation technique for a small 8-minute session. Because I feel that all the talking one can be kept aside, and the live demonstration is what will really make a difference. So I want to quickly start this meditation session, and then if time permits, we can have quick questions if anybody has any questions. So before the meditation audio starts, I just want to share with you how we are going to do it, what exactly will be done in this meditation. So on screen, you will see our master, Sri Shiv Krupananda Swami. He is a Himalayan sage. He is a family man just like you and me. He has a family, his wife, children. He has worked as a marketing manager in a company. He retired, and then he went in pursuit of meditation to the Himalayas, extensively traveled to the Himalayas, brought this beautiful knowledge to all of us, and he is distributing it free of cost for the past 30 years now. So you will see him on screen, and what he will ask you to do is place your hand like this on your crown, because as I told you earlier, it's a crown-based meditation. So you will be placing it on your crown. He will ask you to move your hand 3 times clockwise. Put your right hand on your head, move it 3 times. Gently Gently just move it. This is just to keep your attention on your crown. And then gently you will be putting your hands down on your lap. No mudras, nothing, just an open gesture, a receiving gesture. You will put it on your lap. If possible, if it's possible for you to please sit on the ground, then please sit on the ground, because that will increase your receptiveness and increase the feeling. Else, if you could remove your footwear and plant your naked feet on the ground, that is also good enough. So, if possible, please remove your footwear and put your naked feet on the ground. Hands open in receiving gesture. You will be closing your eyes and put your hand here and just be guided. And Gurudev will tell you, he will say the mantra. The mantra is very simple. मैं एक पवित्र आत्मा हूँ. मैं एक शुद्ध आत्मा हूँ. This will be said 3 times. So once he says, we repeat after him. Again he says, मैं एक शुद्ध आत्मा हूँ. We repeat after him. And after that, we just sit quietly and observe whatever sensations are happening within us. This is an 8-minute small clip. So just a small 8-minute thing. Ideally, we are supposed to meditate for 30 minutes. But to start with, we can start with an 8-minute session. So I'm going to share the screen. Just let me know if the audio can be heard. Okay, and then I'll start.
हाथ को तालू आपको यहाँ रखो.
Are you able to hear the audio?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll just start from the beginning. Just go with the flow. And even if you can't figure out everything, because this is the first session, it's perfectly all right. Just go with the flow.
हाथ को तालू आपको यहाँ रखो. हल्का सा दबाव दो. आंखें बंद कर लो. शरीर को एकदम शिथिल छोड़ दो. उसके बाद 3 बार क्लॉकवाइज घुमाओ. बाद में दोनों हाथ सामने रखो. चित्त को तालु भाग पे स्थिर करते हुए मंत्र का उच्चारण करेंगे और पूर्ण भाव के साथ मंत्र का उच्चारण करना है. जो आप बोल रहे हो उसको फील करो. भाव से उस शब्द को भर दो. तब जाके उन शब्दों का असर आपके ऊपर होगा. मैं एक पवित्र आत्मा हूं.
मैं एक पवित्र आत्मा हूँ.
मैं एक शुद्ध आत्मा हूं.
मैं एक शुद्ध आत्मा हूँ.
मैं एक पवित्र आत्मा हूं.
मैं एक पवित्र आत्मा हूँ.
मैं एक शुद्ध आत्मा हूं.
मैं एक शुद्ध आत्मा हूँ.
मैं एक पवित्र आत्मा हूं.
मैं एक पवित्र आत्मा हूँ.
मैं एक शुद्ध आत्मा हूं.
मैं एक शुद्ध
अपने
आत्मा
चित्त को
हूँ.
तालु भाग पे स्थिर करो और ध्यान करो. परमेश्वर से प्रार्थना करेंगे, हे परमात्मा,
हे परमात्मा,
कृपया मुझे
कृपया मुझे
ध्यान की अवस्था प्रदान करें।
ध्यान की अवस्था प्रदान करें।
हे परमात्मा,
हे परमात्मा,
कृपया मुझे
कृपया मुझे
ध्यान की अवस्था प्रदान करें।
ध्यान की अवस्था प्रदान
हे
करें।
परमात्मा,
हे परमात्मा,
कृपया मुझे
कृपया मुझे
ध्यान की अवस्था प्रदान करें।
ध्यान की अवस्था प्रदान करें। Gently rub your hands like this. Keep your hands on your eyes. Absorb the warmth that has been created between your hands. Now gently remove your hands and slowly open your eyes with a smile. So because of the shortage of time, we could just manage around 5 minutes of meditation. But I hope you had a glimpse of what Himalayan meditation is. If anybody would like to quickly share something, that would be great. How did you feel after this session? It was just a very brief session, very short session. Somebody says some thoughtless moments, felt at peace. Somebody has said I was getting a lot of thoughts. And someone has said that thoughtlessness is meditation. No, thoughtlessness is the doorway to meditation. Meditation is much beyond that. That is what we are going to see in the sessions which are going to come after that. So I guess within just 5 minutes, if you could get a glimpse of your inner consciousness, just imagine if you can sit and meditate every day for half an hour in this particular state. It would be such a beautiful thing. On that note, I would like to invite you all to please come for one more session, maybe at least 4 to 5 sessions, Shashwati ji, would be required to make full justice to this topic. I have barely been able to scratch just the outermost layer, not even that. So I really feel that we should have more sessions where we delve into each aspect properly, because as teachers, we all understand that we should be clear about the objectives. Only then we get the outcome, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you
Miss.
very much. That's all
Yes.
from my end.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Veena Nair, for leading today's meditation session. We are grateful for your expertise and for sharing the benefits of Himalayan meditation with us. Thank you to all participants for your active engagement and enthusiasm. My teammate Freya sharing the feedback form in the chat box. I am requesting all of you to feel and help us to organize more sessions like this. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.